Minister, I pointed out to you and some of the other ministers before that certain cohorts of people who should get support, who tick all of the boxes for the support schemes, are mysteriously excluded from them. And it's really unfair. I obviously support the CRSS and have done. The new business resumption support scheme dealt with in this bill. I agree it should be established. But once again, unless I'm wrong, and you could just answer the question directly really, but I'm assuming that once again, PSV drivers, taxi drivers, are being excluded from this. And similarly, your lone trader, musicians, many of the people who work in live performance, although I accept there have been other supports for elements in those sector, in the music and arts and live entertainment sector, many of the jobbing individual musicians and live performers have been excluded from all of the support schemes for no good reason. So please, I'd love to hear that that's changed with this new scheme, but I'm assuming for reasons that are inexplicable and to my mind completely unfair that you have once again excluded those particular cohorts who continue to be impacted by the pandemic in both cases, in fact, because they are linked to things like travel, tourism and so on, to hospitality, and therefore they are not able to earn the sort of income and livelihood that they would have previously. Many of them have not even returned to work in the case of the taxi drivers because they know there's not an income out there, but they are waiting for a full recovery of their sector. And just to add insult to injury in that regard, they are now discovering that they are facing a cliff in terms of the one support they did get, the PUP. And they are being told that as soon as they hit the 203 rate, they are going to be pushed onto job seekers when they are not job seekers, they are taxi drivers or they are musicians or they are performers, or face the loss of the PUP altogether when they can't make a full living and earn a full livelihood out there on the road, or in the case of music or whatever, because gigs, and there's still huge uncertainty around these areas, almost certainly will not be able to make a living. So they seem to be losing out on both fronts in terms of the PUP and their exclusion from these support schemes when they have carried many, many costs and incurred debts because they have been hit, effectively closed down or dramatically reduced in their earning ability as a result of the pandemic and the pandemic measures. So I would like you to come back on that and tell me that they haven't been excluded this time, and if they have, why have they been excluded? Because it is grossly, grossly unfair.
I'll begin with Deputy Boyd Barrett first on the different issues he's raised. On the business restriction support scheme, which is coming in, it does have a broader group of occupations included in it, provided they meet certain criteria in relation to their level of trading, and that does include taxi drivers. It will include food suppliers, for example, to deal with the issue that Deputy Healy-Rae raised, and other occupations that have been particularly harshly hit by the pandemic. Now, the business restriction support scheme is a single payment. It is a percentage of what your income or turnover was across a qualifying period, but the scheme is being brought in with the first payment due in September to try to deal with the issue of how we can support particular parts of our society and our economy, as opposed in one scheme, as opposed to the wide variety of grant schemes that have been available during the pandemic. Those grant schemes have been of value. You touched on the live performance sector. Nearly €50 million worth of supports have been in place for the live performance sector now since March, from the performance support scheme to its support scheme for the live entertainment business, all the way up to a different way of trying to do St. Patrick's Day Festival. So there have been a variety of supports in place for the live entertainment sector. The point you make about the pandemic unemployment payment, which takes me on to the point that Deputy McGrath made, yes, it is being reduced, but the payment and the existence of it is also being extended up until early next year, and the reductions are done in a staged way over time, as we hope our economy becomes more open and stays fully open.